Call to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Halton Catholic District School Board on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and will also be posted on the board's YouTube channel. Trustees, in order to be recognized, please use the hand up feature in Teams to be automatically placed in queue. We have a guest tonight, our students, and a very warm welcome to this board meeting. Thank you for coming. With that, we shall now move on to item 1.1, land acknowledgement, the opening prayer, the Our Father, and national anthem. I now ask staff to please lead us off with the land acknowledgement.
Halton, as we know it today,
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations and the Métis.
From the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis.
These lands surrounding the Great Lakes
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters
to honor and respect
the four directions, lands, waters, plants, animals, and ancestors
that walked before us.
All these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God. We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you. Student Trustee Philbert, could you please lead us in the opening prayer, the Our Father, national anthem?
So this past Friday and Saturday, we as Catholics had the pleasure of recognizing All Saints Day as well as All Souls Day respectively. So I'm happy to provide a prayer that speaks to that. So if you could join me in the sign of our faith, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Faithful God, source of every blessing, teach us to love our enemies, to bless those who curse us, to pray for those who persecute us, to turn the other cheek, to share our possessions, to give to those who are in need, and to do others as we would have done unto them, so that we may join in the company of blessed saints who feast with you in heaven through Jesus Christ our Lord. And if we could follow that by joining me in the words that Jesus taught us, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Before we go to national anthem, Director Klein.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to our guests. Just further to Student Trustee Philbert's prayer that connected with All Souls Day, I do want to ask that we keep in our prayers, in particular, devotion and focus on two members of our HCDSB community that we lost over the weekend, around on those feast days in particular. One was a student from St. Thomas Aquinas School, and we're all aware. Ben Gray was his name, and again, he was a student at that high school, and his loss obviously will be felt by that school community, by his friends, and of course for his family who mourn him, and we can only imagine that pain. Not long afterward, we heard that a teacher in our school board, Jill Olds, who was an elementary teacher, and that last word was between St. Mark and St. Gabriel. She passed away over the weekend as well, after a valiant fight. So as we head through this month where we remember our connection to those who passed, and remember that that veil is not as thick as we might think. That connection of love is continually with us, and that loving God that brought us into existence and remains with us. We pray for the grace for those communities and for those families. So I'd ask that you keep those families in your prayers.
Thank you, Director Klein. Please rise. Item 1.2, motions arising from in-camera. There were no motions arising from in the in-camera session, which will require a vote in the public session. Our next order of business is the approval of the agenda. Item number 2, do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, can you use the hand up feature, please, Mr. Kennedy? Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to remove item number 8.9.1, please.
So that's the action item. You want to withdraw that?
Withdraw the item, yeah.
So we can approve the agenda, and when we get to that item, we can talk about it. So that saves us a lot of process. So any other items would like to add or delete? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Looking for a mover. Trustee Saunders moves. Looking for a seconder, please. Trustee Carabella, seconds. I'll take this to a recorded vote. Trustee Kennedy?
In favor.
Trustee Uhanchanada? Vice Chair Agnew?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders?
In favor.
Trustee Filbert?
In favor.
Trustee McGuire?
In favor.
Trustee Yeboah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
Favor.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
We have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Our next order of business is declarations of conflict of interest. Do we have any conflicts of interest to be declared tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next order of business, which is presentations. Item 4.1, robotics presentation. Director Klein, please introduce the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Fear not, everyone. These are safe robots. There's no lasers that I'm aware of, but I am sinking slowly behind this defense I have. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Del Sordo as what we see here, again, whenever we have students and staff before us, to give us a good sense of all the good works that go on at our schools that inspire us and challenge us to support schools as much as we can. We recognize that these fall under certain portfolios and certain focus areas in our board and our MYSP. In terms of this program, this falls under Superintendent Del Sordo, and I'll ask him to take the mic, as it were, and introduce our guests.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, I am thrilled to present St. Ignatius of Loyola's robotic team captains. And I had the pleasure of working with them on a weekend where I learned more. From Julia, who's applying to mechanical engineering for the University of Waterloo, Sophia, who's applying to mechanical engineering at the University of Queens, and Jane, who's applying for computer engineering at U of T. And their amazing teacher, Mrs. Rago, and there are a lot of community supports by parents who are also in the field, who are also supporting, and of course, Mrs. Rago's husband as well. And without them, really, we wouldn't have a team. These are all on the shoulders of our esteemed colleague, Jeff Kroll, and the STEAM group with a consultant, Matt, who really put a number of work into it. Where I came into it was really just about 3 years ago to talk about experiential learning. What I loved on the weekend in talking with Julia was I spent the day and she walked me through the whole journey as we watched a number of competitions, and we had a great discussion about learning. And I thought it would be a phenomenal idea if I can share that with you as an example when we talk about pathway planning and when we talk about experiential learning and we talk about how we can support teachers through professional development to really support kids in a constantly changing world. Here's a fine example of kids who are on a pathway to engineering, who are making connections from their curriculum and other courses to really create a robot. And I'd like to also introduce you to Mockingjay. And this way here we can do it. So ladies and gentlemen, enough about me. Let's hear from the students. And it's your show.
Thank you for having us today. So we are Team 1998 Firehawks from Loyola. So my name is Julia. I am the team captain for this season.
I'm Jaden. I'm the vice captain of the team this season.
And I'm Sophia. I'm our fabrication mechanical lead. So first, we just like to introduce kind of what FIRST is. It's an organization that strives to open up the world of STEAM to students of all ages. There's different categories. We compete in FRC. We got a new challenge every year. The goal is just to build a robot and to learn throughout the journey from our mentors and from each other. We also operate under gracious professionalism, which basically just teaches us to always be gracious to all of our competitors, even if we are at a competition. If someone else is broken, we're there to help them. We're there to stand by each other and help each other learn, not tear each other apart.
So basically going off of what Sophia is saying, currently we are in the preseason part of our season and then we go into the build season, which is January to mid-April, and then we're in the off season right after April to June. So currently we are in our preseason, which basically involves us. We run many different workshops throughout our preseason. We welcome all of the new rookie team members onto our teams, and we introduce them to all of the foundations they need to have a successful build season in January. So we split our team up into different sub-teams in order to mimic a work and corporate environment as closely as possible so that students are ultimately prepared for life post-secondary. And what those sub-teams involve is media, programming, mechanical, strategy, scouting, business, and outreach. I think that covers all of them. So there's something for everyone, and you don't have to be good at all of them. You don't really have to be specifically very inclined in any of them. As long as you're interested and willing to learn, we provide all of the steps and guidance along the way to be confident and be successful in any of the ones that you ultimately find an interest in. So currently we run those workshops so that everyone feels confident going into build season. Build season is what we have from January to mid-April, and there's a new game that's released every year, like Sophia was saying. So this robot is designed from last year's game. And starting January, we have roughly 6 weeks to design, prototype, build, and code this robot. We start from scratch every year. Every team has the same amount of time so that it's on a completely even playing field. So every year we watch the video that first releases, and we completely design this robot from scratch. So there's a very big design process that we follow, but just to summarize, we literally start with pencil and paper and draw out what we think might look good and how we see this working in our head, some wants and needs we need. And it's a very simple process that really involves the whole team in so many different perspectives. And after our 6-week season, we go into 2 district events. And if we qualify further, we go to the provincials. And if you qualify further, you go to the World Championships. So in our past 2 seasons, which have been our first seasons, we have been able to qualify all the way to Worlds every time. And last year we had the honor of actually competing in Houston at the World Championships, which has been an absolutely incredible thing to represent Team Canada and really put our name on the board of this incredible event that we've really had the privilege of being a part of.
We'd like to kind of go through ourselves and our journey. So I've kind of always grown up in a household with engineering. My dad's an engineer, my mom's an architect. So my vision's always been in engineering, and I've always liked math and science. So it's kind of been down the alley. Being on this team, I joined in grade 10 in our rookie season. So this is my 3rd year. I kind of was given the opportunity to actually explore engineering for what it is and meet people at different events, from students to professionals. I've met so many amazing people who have helped me realize that engineering truly is what I want to go into. I've helped a lot of the younger students on our team. Being on the team for 3 years, being in a leading position every year, I've helped build both our robots, as well as like when these 2 joined, guiding them through their first years and seeing the team grow to what it is. And like, like Julia said, going to the World Championship and seeing our team kind of grow to what it is has been such an honor.
I think for me, this team really showed me that what we learn in school actually is really useful in the real world. You know, for as long as I can remember, I've always been interested in, like the maths and the sciences. And I kind of thought, I wish I could just get paid for this all my life. I wish I could just get a job out of that. And then I heard, engineering is math and science. So I was like, great, I know exactly what I'm going to do with my life. And then I realized there's a little bit more to it. And now in grade 11, when I joined the robotics team last year, I kind of realized, there's a lot more to it. And the robotics team really showed me just how many different ways all of our school skills are applied. And, even the maths and sciences, sure, but also our elective courses like, our tech design, our computer engineering courses, all of these things that were cool in the classroom, robotics really showed us the actual ways we could use that. And so what became kind of like an offhand interest in engineering became like a proper passion as I realized what I could do with these skills to change the world.
So I'm kind of similar to Jaden. I was always a very logical kind of sciencey, mathy person, but it was almost a little daunting to hear about all these numbers and formulas in the classroom. And I was able to understand it in a theoretical way, but it's completely different to actually be faced with a problem and an actual thing that involves experimental learning and something to physically create. And so when I joined robotics, I was very interested in seeing how it actually all comes together. And you kind of join and you have a lot of imposter syndrome and you feel like everyone is so incredibly talented and what do you know? But I think that's part of the process, being surrounded by so many different peers who know so much, and you're ultimately learning from them. And when you're surrounded by so many incredible and talented people, you kind of rise to that level, and it's incredible to see the progress that you've been able to make. I've been on the team for a year, and it's incredible to look back and see how far I've come, because when you're around all of these people, it really inspires you to be better, and they're not there to tear you down. They're there to help see you succeed, and they want to see you do good. And being able to apply all of these concepts that say that we learn in the classroom, and not only see how it's applied, but reinforcing what we've learned, and it makes you more confident ultimately in the classroom, because you're able to have these real world examples that you can then tie into when you're doing physics or math or say tech design or computer engineering. You can see how it's applied, and you can go past what the textbook says, and you can have those examples for yourself that you can reference when you're stuck on something. And it makes you more confident to be able to see how it actually works in real life, and not just kind of what something says and what it tells you to say.
Now, our team is bigger than, just the three of us. It's bigger than the 42 students, though, that are on this team, because a really big part of FIRST Robotics as a whole, and our team especially, is giving back to our community. So through a whole number of initiatives, our biggest one being our first LEGO League mentoring, we try to make sure that, engineering and STEAM is brought to the entire community, not just our school. So 11 of our students actually mentor various schools across our school board. So St. Mary's, St. Teresa, St. Matthew's, and St. Bernadette's. And what we do is we help guide the robotics teams from their schools on a different level. It's called the FLL, First LEGO League. And we show them, the same engineering design processes and the same, ways of thinking that we use, so that they can start getting that interest and start getting that exposure from an earlier age. And, with some of them, what we try to even encourage is, creating leaders in those communities. In 2 of our schools, we've already started to kind of work towards turning the students into leaders that can then teach other students these same skills, so that, when we are gone and when, our team isn't always right there, this impact will still be in their community forever. Another really big thing we do is our Girls in STEAM Night, which I'm going to let these 2 explain, because, they're all about it.
Yeah, so me and Sophia have the privilege of actually leading the Girls in STEAM Night this year. So basically it's an initiative that 2 of our captains last year started at Loyola, and they basically started it because of the uneven ratio of girls to boys in our STEAM program at Loyola. And in an effort to make that ratio a little bit more even and encourage some more girls to see how STEAM is really inviting for everyone, and it can be for everyone, we have this Girls in STEAM Night, which basically is just one night in November, and they can kind of come into our school and we run some hands-on experiments and challenges and a couple workshops to kind of show them what STEAM is and see if they're interested in it from a real world kind of way that it really is applied. And we kind of show them what it actually is, so that if they are uncertain, they can see if it's for them.
And, throughout all of our initiatives, our other really big ones, we run a Lego drive, we do Hour of Code sessions. All of these things work towards creating our team members into future leaders, in the corporate world and the world of STEAM. All of these opportunities, we call it outreach, is one more opportunity for students to really get to know themselves as a leader. They get to see what it's like to manage one of these sessions, to teach something. And, through all of these, they really get to see, leadership.
So I kind of want to go over our robot right here. This is Mockingjay. We name our robots different every year. Our first year's was Phoenix. So Mockingjay. want to talk about it then?
Okay, yeah, you can. I'll go up and then you like talk and I'll show.
So Mockingjay had 3 main goals throughout the match. It was to score these like frisbee hoop foam things out of the shooter right at the front. It would pick them up off the ground at a really fast pace, and then it would shoot them up into a speaker, which was like a big, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a target kind of that was 7 feet off the ground, or it would lift up to a 90-degree angle and shoot into the amp, which was straight down. And then, so that was the main way of getting getting points throughout the match. And then in the last 15 seconds of every match, 20 seconds of every match, our robot would have to climb onto a chain. So our 2 arms with the Canadian panels, they would lift up, hook onto a chain, and then pull back down, lifting the robot off the ground. And for every robot that ended up off the ground at the end of the match, we would get a certain amount of points. The LED lights that are flashing right now are something our programming team has done, and we've won awards for it. We've kind of been known for that. It's a way of our robot being able to communicate with our driver, who's on the opposite end of the field from them. No humans are allowed onto the field with the robot. The robot has to be out there by itself, but our amazing driver and operator use these lights to be able to know when we have a note, where we're facing, if we're ready to climb, and that's all done by our programming team. And then they also have cameras which help track the notes, which are orange, or these kind of QR code looking things are called April tags that are on the different structures that the robot has to go to. It helps them track it so that we have a button that our operator or driver will press and just take the robot straight there. We can shoot a note or two.
Yeah.
We had an outreach event.
So there's so much.
Yeah, I don't know about driving just in this tight space.
It might be a little close. So at this point, the robot has picked up the note off of the ground and is ready to shoot it. So you can tell that the robot has picked it up because the lights are flashing green at this point. And when you engage the shooter mechanism and you get the shooter arms working, it'll turn blue, which is when you know that the flywheels that we have are running, it'll turn blue. Just do it. Just go. Just go. Let's go.
Okay, then spin it up like
So that was an example of when it shoots into the amp. So it has to lift the arm all the way up and shoot it down. We would shoot it up, but it's a little powerful. It's a little bit strong, so we're not quite sure how far it would go. We are just a touch bit rusty on the controls. None of us are on the drive team, so that might be why. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, we are more than welcome to.
Thank you.
To ask, we will answer.
Yes. Have a seat. Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Trustees, any comments, any questions for our students and teacher? Oh, I see some hands up. Trustee Ohan Chanada, your hand is.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Well done. Well done. Very, very interesting. I was lucky enough, my son a few years ago was on the robotics team, and I'm going to be fully transparent. I was like, wow, you can go to a meet. And I thought, oh, I can hardly wait to go to a robotics meet. It was one of the most fascinating and fun activities I've ever been to, and the cheering and the camaraderie, and you could live stream it on your phone. So super amazing. If anyone else, First Robotics, go in there and you can see all the meets, and congratulations on getting to Houston. That's an amazing feat. And you guys, and even the parents on the team, they do a lot of work for these teams. So congratulations, and keep going. Keep going.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to us.
Thank you. Up next, Trustee McGuire.
Yeah, thank you through you, Chair. I just wanted to come and thank you all today. I'm from Loyola myself, and I've seen all the hard work that you guys have put in as a team. It's just really incredible to see and stuff all the effort that our school community and you guys have put into this, and it's so amazing to see your success. So I'm just really proud of you guys, and I guess the whole board, and of course our Loyola community is very, very proud of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Trustee Philbert. Sorry.
Yeah, and through you, Chair, I had something similar to Lauren. First off, that was a great presentation, guys. Like, I don't know anything about robotics or science or anything, but this was super great to see. STEAM is something that's becoming super big in my school, St. FX, and we don't have a robotics team yet, but honestly, this is something that I feel like all schools should have, and I'm really happy to hear that you guys also have girls in STEAM, because I have a lot of friends who are interested, but I know they're pretty shy, but you guys are change makers, and I can't wait to see all the stuff you do post-secondary.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. We kind of feel similarly because we are a STEAM school at Loyola. So this is very important to us, because a lot of our kids that are coming in that are interested in STEAM, it's very important for them to be able to have this experimental learning opportunity, and for them to be able to see this as it is related directly to the program that they are entering. And if this is something that they're interested in, we have something for them that they can see as well.
Thank you. Up next, Superintendent Kroll.
Sure. I just wanted to echo what, through you, Mr. Chair, wanted to echo what Trustee O'Hearn Trinata said. Having attended a couple of the events last year, as impressive as this was, this really doesn't do it justice in terms of how fast the robot is actually moving during a competition, how quickly the students have to respond to the changing conditions on the field, and just the scope. So one of the events I was at last year was a very, very large convention center in Mississauga that was packed with students, spectators. It really does feel like an athletic event more than anything else. Cheerleaders, cheering fans, signs, all of that. So when those large events are held in the spring, we'll certainly share that information with you. If you haven't had an opportunity to come, definitely come out and see our teams. They're amazing. And just kudos to you for how much you've accomplished in the first 2 years of your program.
Thank you. Definitely recommend coming out to an event. It's something like, it's an experience that I think everyone should have at some point.
Up next is Trustee Yeboah.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just want to bounce off of what Lauren and Sophia said, and I think it's really, really impressive you guys are doing. That presentation was really awesome as well. You also mentioned the organization that you guys run through. It's called FIRST. You guys just mind explaining a bit more? I was really interested.
So FIRST is the overall organization. They have 3 parts. We compete in FRC, which is First Robotics Competition. That's for high schoolers. There's FLL, which Jaden mentioned that we mentor, and there's FTC. They try to inspire people to go into STEAM and help them feel comfortable in STEAM, as well as always being respectful to everyone you're with. Because even though we go to competitions, even if we're competing against them, we still want to help each other learn, and we want to help each other be as successful as we can, because we've all put the same amount of work in, and that's what they kind of strive to teach us all. So that even when we go into working, we're not always competing. Even if we are trying to be the best, we're all trying to help each other on our journeys.
Yes, and going off a little bit about what Sophia was saying, they try to basically mimic a corporate work environment as closely as possible so that students can be successful in their future careers. So with things like gracious professionalism and the different team structures that they have, they really just try to set kids up for success and let them have those experiences that they need so that we have those future leaders and those future engineers that set the world up. And kind of talk a bit more about how it's applied in our board. We actually have 3 high schools now that have first, St. Thomas Aquinas, Loyola, and Bishop Redding. Oh, and Holy Trinity, sorry, that's 4.
No St. Thomas Aquinas.
No St. Thomas Aquinas, sorry. Holy Trinity, Bishop Redding, and us. So we have 3 schools. So it is definitely growing, and we're looking if any high schools are interested, we're more than welcome to help them start up another team. We definitely think it's something that every high school should have, and we're very lucky that there are so many from our school board that are interested in it.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation to the Board of Trustees. We are very proud of you for the wonderful work that you've been doing in the competitions you've been going to. Wonderful. Thank you to the teachers and staff and all the volunteers who are there and who spend countless hours after school hours and in the evenings practicing and building all this stuff. So thank you so much. And yes, we do hope to have this program in other schools, and we're hoping that we can expand it. Thank you so much once again for coming and presenting to the Board of Trustees.
Thank you for having us.
With that, we move on to our next item, delegations. There are no delegations tonight. The next order of business is the consent agenda items, item number 6. The following items have been agreed upon at the agenda approval to stay on the consent agenda. Item 6.1, made up of 6.1.1 and 6.2 noted items. There will be a single motion to approve the action item, and there will be no discussion. There will be no discussion on the noted items as well. I will now read the motion. Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board approve consent agenda item 6.1.1 as submitted at the November 5th, 2024 regular board meeting. May I have a mover, please?
I can move.
Trustee Kelly. Looking for a seconder, please. Trustee Saunders. I'll take this to a recorded vote. Trustee Ohanchanara.
I'm in favor.
Vice Chair Agnew.
In favor.
Trustee Kelly.
In favor.
Trustee Murphy.
In favor.
Trustee Saunders. Favor. Trustee Filbert.
In favor.
Trustee McGuire.
In favor.
Trustee Yeboah.
In favor.
Trustee Carabella.
In favor.
Trustee Powell.
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy.
In favor.
So we have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Shall now move right on to our next order of business is action items. So item number 9, 9.1, Standing Finance Committee. Trustee Kennedy mentioned in the opening agenda you would like to have this item withdrawn.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we shall move on. This item shall be withdrawn. We shall now move on to staff reports. There are no staff reports. Moving on to our next order of business is information items. 11.1, Director's Report. Director Klein, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair. And about that. All right, that's a hard act to follow. And again, just a reflection of all the good work that's going on in this board and has been for many years and will continue. So I'm going to ask Elizabeth to start clicking away through this. Go on. So I'll make a solemn promise that I probably won't follow, but we will no longer have anything about pathways because I think Superintendent Del Cerdo has had way too much spotlight over this meeting and the meetings that preceded it. But there is a lot going on in our schools with regard to pathways, and I just wanted to highlight a few things within this report, and I'll go through them fairly briefly because I know you've read this. Tiny homes, of course, is something that not only reflects our work in terms of building and constructing and trades, but also reflects our ethic of care and our response to the gospel call to reach out to the margins and help. So I want to highlight the fact that we have those programs underway at Notre Dame and Assumption, and we're continuing to partner with Habitat for Humanity, an organization that goes back many, many years, and I know you're all very well aware of. Some statistics that Superintendent Del Cerdo shared with me. One is the fact that we have an increasing number of girls taking skilled trade and construction and integrated technology courses, something to celebrate, of course. Further to the presentation we just had, and some of you were I think at this event last year. The date might have changed, but it's the same weekend. Coming up in 2025 on February 22nd, this board will be holding its 4th annual Skilled Trades Fair. Last year was at St. FX, and it's at St. FX again. And again, the past few years have seen an incredible number of students and families in attendance. Superintendent Del Sordo and I were in conversation with our partners at the Halton Industry Education Committee. Of course, that is a great partner and has been for well over 30 years in this region, and they're going to be promoting this and be active there as well. So that just makes it even stronger than we've had before too. Many people have heard of Development and Peace. Not a lot have heard of Caritas. Caritas is the charitable branch, as it were, of the Catholic Church. So out of the Vatican, many years ago, I think in the 60s, there was established this branch or division called Caritas. That was to organize and align and promote the acts of charity that the Church encourages and conducts throughout the world. Development and Peace is the Canadian branch of that. So it's established at that time by the bishops here in Canada, focuses on a few things in terms of development. That is partnerships with organizations and communities, women at the heart of change. A lot of research shows that as women's conditions change, so goes the village and the community around it. Education and mobilization and advocacy. Just wanted to highlight, and there's links there that people can head toward too. Not that there's not a myriad of efforts at all our schools to promote charity and to try and level the field in society. But St. Thomas Aquinas, we want to highlight the Development and Peace Club was chosen twice for a Development and Peace Schools program website for the Major Mustard Badge and the Think Fast Badge. This goes back a few months, but I'd encourage you to follow those links and take a look and see the good things that are being done. And Holy Trinity Catholic Secondary School was chosen for the World Flipper Badge, meaning to change the world or flip the world, and to make it better as well. But I encourage families as well to take a look at Development and Peace, because for a long time, Development and Peace has worked as well to encourage families through, particularly through seasons like Lent and Advent, to work together to not only strengthen their bonds and connections with faith, but to work to ensure that our world is a safer, more just and beautiful place. HCAA updates, and when I wrote this last week, there's been developments even since that time, so I do want to just cut to a couple of notes I have here. Senior football finals coming up this Friday are between Corpus and Assumption. Cue the cheers now, and that's at 10:30, and that's going to be at MAC, and we've ordered good weather for that as well. Junior football quarterfinals are going on this week at various schools, so we'll have more details later. Junior girls basketball, the finals between St. FX and Aquinas will be this Thursday, so in 2 days, and that is at Sheridan. And the senior girls basketball finals are between Reading and Corpus, and that's this Thursday, and that's after the game, at the next game following, and that's also at Sheridan. And again, thanks to all the coaches and staff, not only at the school level, but at the board level that help organize that. And of course, you have the other sports too that are where we're at here. Congratulations to Thomas Aquinas, who clinched 3-1 victory over Holy Trinity in the finals in senior girls field hockey, junior girls field hockey. The playoffs started nearly 2 weeks ago, and Assumption has the victory over Bishop Reading in the final, and congratulations to Assumption on that achievement as well. Junior and senior boys volleyball playoffs got underway last week with Sheridan College hosting the finals that will come up on today. And I'm not sure how that went. We look forward to exciting matches. In elementary boys and girls volleyball, the seasons are of course moving into the playoffs starting this week, and they'll compete in municipal playoffs. That's where we break them down, aiming to advance to a system level playoff for the systems championship. Some of you might have attended the cross-country meets that were held early in October. I was able to be there when Burlington schools were there, and I think I was blessed with the most beautiful weather imaginable and a beautiful fall day. And the awards would go to, in terms of North Halton, St. Bridget, Oakville, St. Dominic, and Burlington, St. Anne. Total number of participants was over 3,330 to be precise, including our Special Olympians, and this represents a 4.32 increase from last year's total. Final school that we're highlighting, and again, we had an ongoing presentation of schools that we have built, which is awesome, is St. Kateri. And St. Kateri opened almost in the nick of time in terms of our ability to get students in there and have it ready to be built. It is a miracle that a 36-month project was able to be done successfully in 20 months, and hats off to Superintendent Merrick's team, our partners in the private sector who worked on this as well. It is truly a feat. And again, there's just some statistics like we did with other schools regarding some of the feast days of the patroness, and that is you see all the information there as well. And it is 882, but this will be growing very fast. That neighborhood is growing, and it's well led with Kevin Wong. We have our trustee Murphy here, and Michael Skripik is its able superintendent. 68 staff, and again, it is growing, and they are plugging away at getting things done. As you're aware, there's lots of other buildings being constructed, not only schools, but we're in a region that has a lot of building going on. And really what we're at is just finishing touch. So we're hoping to get some really key things done over the next few weeks, and our prayers are toward that. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions right now regarding this report.
Thank you, Director Klein. Trustees, do we have questions for Director Klein? Trustee Murphy, with the floor.
Hi, yeah, it's just related to some concerns I had heard from the community around the safety of students outside of St. Kateri. There's a very busy roundabout there. And I know some things have been put into place to help alleviate any sort of safety issues. And I just was wondering if there was any feedback on that, or how that's looking.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. And I'll look at Superintendent Skripik and anybody else who wants to help with this. When I was there about a month ago, that actual day, there had been an incident where a student from another school had a close call with a driver who drove off. And the roundabout is obviously very close to the school itself. And roundabouts are really the way to go in terms of traffic. I think we're all aware of that. I don't think I've seen a roundabout that was as freshly painted with sight lines that were perfect, with flashing lights, and nothing had gone wrong in terms of what the student did and what the city had done. And someone was lazy and selfish and went through that. I'm going to look at Mr. Skripik and see if he has any more. I know part of school life, when we have safety concerns, it does involve education. Not surprised there in terms of educating students and reminding them of the rules of the road. And so even though this student in question did pretty much everything right, stepping out probably was, before it was safe, wasn't the best idea. So I think even things like that are reminders for students that maybe aren't used to this type of traffic. But Superintendent Skripik, do you have any thoughts on what's being done there to ensure that's safe? I haven't heard of anything since then. And we do know that sometimes the growing pains of a new school, fresh few days, even when the schools that have been around for many years and the streets and intersections have been around for many years, the first few weeks of school are always at all our schools fraught with dangers as parents get back into the groove of maybe trying to have some schedule that they might be running late on. Students are, but since that time I've heard of nothing. So Superintendent Skripek.
Yeah, so the city is working currently with Principal Wong and looking at a number of different options, including some things that we're going to be working with the planning department on to see if there's some feasibility of that with regard to entrances and exits. Further to that, we're always open to any kind of feedback from the city. I've heard and read the same concerns you're speaking about, Trustee Murphy, and shared them with the folks in the city myself to say, you know, how can we make this easier for ourselves? I know one of the sticking points is around about directly in front of the school.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy, do you have any other follow-up question?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, any other questions for Director Klein? Seeing none, thank you, Director Klein, for presenting your report. And with that, we shall move on to our next order of business, which is miscellaneous information 12.1. Trustee Ohan Janada, could you present your report, OCST report?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, and to fellow trustees and staff at the table. Attached, you'll find some information in regards to Oxta. We have an upcoming event coming up in January. There's also a video contest that's upcoming as well. I'll really leave it to your time to read through that information. I also want to, in the package are also Oxta resolutions. Halton Catholic has been very robust, let's say, in the last few years of submitting resolutions. A lot of our resolutions, as you may remember, have been moved forward to political advocacy committees at Oxta, which then get lobbied to the Ministry of Education. So start to think if there's any gaps that you see over our last board meetings that maybe you feel that a resolution could be written. And those are usually submitted at the AGM in the spring. So let us know. Some of us have some fair experience with doing it, so we're willing to support you. And if you don't mind, I'd like to defer to my colleague, Vice Chair Agnew, who was going to report out on the large committee meeting that you've had.
Great.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, we've resumed the meetings for our large urban board committees, and similar to what Trustee O'Hearn-Jornata said, we got a bit of an update on some of those political actions, and so a lot of the stuff that came out of the resolutions, so we're sort of sitting on some things, a lot of discussion around trying to make some new inroads with the newer Minister of Education. They had started, obviously with Lecce, and then they had a bit of a change, and now they've got Minister Dunlop in, so some of those conversations. But really for the large urban board, some of those discussions tend to be around transportation. Everyone's dealing with transportation issues. A big discussion around lifting moratoriums when it comes to school closures, to allow school boards to have the autonomy to make, to make those decisions. So those continue to be sort of two key pieces. We talked a lot about special education funding and dedicated funding for accessibility. Talking about, again, a lot of the information that was in the resolutions is what was discussed at this meeting, because it really does pertain to a lot of these large urban boards. There's also been some discussion, encouragement to look at resolutions to bring forward, because we have seen that they can be acted upon. And then the other piece was there is going to be at the upcoming meeting at the AGM, they're looking to have a meeting, specifically like a sub meeting at that meeting, specifically for trustees from the large urban boards, so that we can all come together to have some of these discussions around these factors that seem to impact us a little bit more than they may some of our smaller counterparts. So nice to bring everybody to the table again to have those conversations, and I continue to keep you updated if anything is of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Trustee Ohan-Chanada. Trustees, do we have any questions for either Vice Chair or Trustee Ohan-Chanada? Seeing none. Sure. Thank you. Thank you for your reports, Trustee Ohan-Chanada and Vice Chair Agnew. We shall now move on to item 12.2 OCST 2025 AGM. And thank you, Trustee Ohan-Chanada, for speaking to that. I was going to speak to that, so I will not take the time of the board to speak on that. But basically, it's the time for resolutions, and I'll just give some dates here. In the package, agenda package, you will find details of the process and the past motions that we have had really good success in the past. And so thank you to all who participated in that. Some dates here, the process will be initiated by the chair, and the resolutions will be considered at the Jan 21st, 2025 board meeting and must be submitted to OCSTA by February 7th, 2025. Okay, thank you for everybody's participation. And if you have any questions on resolutions, you can ask Trustee Ohan Chinada or myself, and happy to help. Thanks. And with that, we shall move on to correspondence. So we have no correspondence. Item number 13, open question period number 14. Director Klein, have any questions been submitted for the open question? Thank you. No questions have been submitted. In camera, we do not have to go in camera. We completed all that business. Resolution regarding absentees. We have everybody present today. And item number 17 is adjournment and closing prayer. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll move it.
Trustee Saunders beat you to it. And Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, and the motion carries. Before we move on to closing prayer, I just want to, this is my last day as chair for this term. I just want to say a few quick thank yous to a few folks. First and foremost, I just really want to thank God for the good work that we had done this past year, kept us and all His blessings for the past years on our students and trustees and our families. So thanks, I thank God for that. To Director Klein and all your staff, I really want to thank all your staff on the side. There's so much happening behind the scenes that I want to thank you for all the support that I got. To all trustees, I want to thank you for working together collaboratively over the past year. We did well for the past years. Thank you, Vice Chair Agnew, for your support and help. Thank you, Trustee Ohan Chinada, for the work you do at OCSTA. Really appreciate it. That's a lot of work happening behind the scene. And finally, thank you to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you so much for all the tremendous work that's happening behind the scenes, emails going back and forth every day. So thank you so much for that. And with that, Trustee Saunders, could you lead us in the closing?
Thanks very much. Today is the Feast of Jesuit Saints, which used to be a big deal at the school I went to. So if you join me in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Prayer for generosity from St. Ignatius Loyola. Eternal Word, only begotten Son of God, teach me true generosity. Teach me to serve you as you deserve, to give without counting the cost, to fight heedless of the wounds, to labor without seeking rest, to sacrifice myself without thought of my own reward, save the thought, the knowledge that I have done your will. Amen. In the Father, Son, and Spirit.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Thank you for a great meeting. Good night.